discussion that we need to work at and look at, because I wasn't there that day in the situation.
Not just that. So I just got out today at 1:30. So in order for me to get services that I needed, because I'm married and I'm in family court, and they wanted me to pay $150 to test, which I couldn't afford because I'm on disability. So what I had to do, I had to go back to the store and get arrested in order for me to get services. So now I have services. And then the same thing happened with the officer.
Maybe we can add her key word up in here is with respect, somewhere in here, when doing this in a respectful, because it doesn't have to be this Iraqi, ISIS type mentality, because crime is gonna happen in the city of San Francisco.
But you are proven innocent until proven guilty.
Right.
And then, like, the officers, they automatically treat you that you're guilty. And then also, even the sheriff department. So I would be in compliance with them having cameras with y'all and in the sheriff department too.
So, you've been on the force for 25 years, and you said that you wouldn't have done what happened to, you would have been a part of what happened to Mario Woods. Were there circumstances in the 25 years where you came upon, you were involved in these kinds of situations, these tense, where the person doesn't want to do what you say, and what did you do? How did you get to 25 years without shooting somebody like Mario Woods was?
I think a lot of that was through being exposed to so many different types of incidents, whether they're small or large incidents. When you have the opportunity to be involved in so many of those, you can look back and reflect after about what you did and what you might have been able to do differently in that, especially if you make a mistake. And you can talk and you think about, that's something that if I was to do that again, I would do it differently because of that. Just being in 25 years has given me the opportunity to talk to so many people, to be engaged with people. I mean, being a captain of the station, when you run meetings and you do things, I can come here and talk with all of you about different things that are going on in law enforcement and within the department. When an officer first comes into the department, he or she has, sometimes, not many worldly experiences, and they don't really have great communication skills. Communication skills get better as you spend time. So I think learning how to communicate with people, being part of the community and seeing what's wrong and admitting that you can make mistakes and you can be wrong and you can say sorry and you can treat someone with the respect and dignity is part of that. And it's because I've done it for so long.
Sir, can I ask you a question? I'm sorry, please.
Do you have, I think each police officer when they first come on has a mentor or someone they work with. Would you say that impacted you in a particular way as well?
I think it did. So officers that come in, they have training officers that teach them. Some have great communication skills. Some have a lot of experience. Some may only have a couple years. Some may have multiple years of experience. The ones that are good communicators that can help that individual and talk to them and has a knowledge of people in the community that they can introduce them to makes it so much better. But unfortunately, it's not equal across the board because you have different districts where you have different things that happen. For example, here in the Western Addition, the type of crime that we would see out here would be different than what we'd see in the Terrell. So an officer may not get exposed to the things on the Terrell that they get to here. So it really depends on that. But there are mentors, and I think that's another great idea for this, because whether it's a mentor program of good communicators, good people who have those skills that can help them. Because what we need to do, I think, is we need to get our officers that are young to get up to, I don't want to say up to speed, but to understand communication and to understand dealing with the world and community in a quick way, because we have a big responsibility. We carry firearms, we have the ultimate power to make arrests and so forth, but it comes with a lot of responsibility. And so that's one thing that I think would be good for us to do, because it gets our officers exposed to it.
I wanted to just point out that I work for the FARCE project, and in our headquarters in New York City, we have a program called Operation Conversation Cops and Kids. And it's where we train young people, poor kids from the inner city communities, and police officers. It's a partnership with the New York City Police Department to learn how to have different kinds of conversations, how to relate to each other differently, and how to see each other's humanity. Because, as Reverend Amos said, Amos Brown said, it's a systemic problem. So when you come to be a police officer, you're not just coming with who you are, but everything else that's impacted your life. And in a country where people have been taught to hate each other from a long time, hundreds of years, then you bring those biases with you. And the thing we do is we use performance, performed conversation, theater games, and all kinds of things like that, before you can even have a conversation, because you just yell at each other. So, and we recently received an award along with the police, the New York City Police Department, from the International Association of Chiefs of Police for our program, because after training about 1,800 New York City rookies, it's for the rookies, we see some impact on the street. The split-second pull the gun doesn't happen between the kids and the police officers who've been in this kind of program.
So how are we gonna put that in the use of force?
Well, I think that's part of training.
Training.
It's a good thing.
Training.
I want to say one more.
Have you talked to the chief at all about this?
I haven't talked to the chief. I've been in conversations with the DA,
Okay.
who's gone to New York, and
I'll give you my part. With Gaston?
Gaston,
George? Okay, I'm
yes.
gonna give you my part. I don't know if you have one, but this is exactly something that I think we need to have as part of this conversation, because we are looking at the training that goes on from the minute they hit the academy out to the street and so forth. And I think that this is part of it, a conversation that we should have.
Officer?
I was arrested on the 13th.
Huh?
I was taken
Captain.
to San Francisco General
Sorry.
by officers.
I'm sorry, I don't know, I don't know regalia. No, I don't know regalia, so I don't know a captain from a sergeant
We're
from
gonna
a...
shift right now too, so if you wanna go to another one, you can.
I do,
All right.
but I have a question.
Captain, I have a question for the captain. Captain, did you know that San Francisco Police Department does not enforce medical law? Hello?
I'm not having this conversation right now.
You're
We're
not
here-
having
we're
this
talking about
conversation?
The use of force policy here.
Right, but if you don't provide people with their medical rights, don't you force them into seeking and being on the streets and everything else? You know, if you don't enforce their medical rights?
So you might wanna stay at the mental health.
Because
Maybe offer some ideas around that too.
No, I'm just asking the appropriate question, and he's leaving, and I'm showing you the whole
know.
thing that it doesn't work.
I know, but
and
he's
it's
the
ri-
captain of a station.
I
so-
know,
so-
that commands so much respect, I understand.
No, it's not about
Thank
that.
you.
It's about that he's not the person you would talk to about.
Oh, I've already tried talking to all the appropriate people. There's 900 videos on YouTube about how it doesn't work. 3 years. I've been, what you guys are doing, I've already been through. I can tell you what's going to happen. I can tell you how there's going to be no accountability at the end. I can tell you how they're going to create policies that, aren't going to be bound by law, and there's going to be the devil in the details is going to be left out. I've already got all the proof that it doesn't work, that there's no accountability. That's why I was asking you about the CIT program.
Right, and they're gonna be talking about that a bit more over there.
That's okay. I understand that we're not going to get anywhere. Thank you, though.
All right, definitely.
Bye-bye.
We'll stay hopeful.